Jamin Carl back in the Cardmarket studio, but since we were both separately on month-long vacations and have not been around, we had zero time to prepare a paper gameplay video. So instead, we're banking on the fact that in 1 week, almost exactly, the Pioneer Precons are coming out, and we are really excited.
So excited, in fact, that we, looked at the deck list. We already played with 2 of them, but we looked at the deck list, we ran them through the shopping wizard, we gathered the data, and we're going to give you the rundown on what you need to know about these Pioneer decks so you can make an informed decision of whether or not you want to buy them.
But before we go into that, I'd like to remind everyone, if you can, if you're not subbed, if you're just dropping on this because you did a search because you don't know which one to buy, please sub to the channel. It's super important to us. Also, if you haven't liked the video, do comments if you want. Just anything to help us get out there. We need to grow the channel as much as we can. But before we jump into each individual deck, Jamin, what do you think of Pioneer? Do you think it's coming up, or do you think it's just like a last hurrah for Wizards?
Honestly, I think it's kind of at a point where this is to be decided, because we came into Pioneer, it was this new kid on the block kind of thing, and then we had the Players Tour that was really exciting, maybe more so for me. I even played that one, and it got all the spotlight. Everyone was writing about Pioneer. We got new bans in Pioneer, and then suddenly Corona hit. End of show. That was it.
And even before that, the fact that they waited so long on the bannings and it was kind of all combo focused and you had to play a combo deck. We want to reinvigorate, at least I'm looking forward to, if it comes back again, is that first feel we had with Pioneer, where you get to play Mono Black Aggro, you get to play Supreme Verdict, you get to play a lot of your jankier decks. The tier 2 of Pioneer was huge and exciting, and Pioneer was the right word for it, because it was really whatever you wanted out there, exactly. You could kind of make slightly competitive.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like, especially the first few days after the announcement, right? So I think where we're at is if Wizards of the Coast is going to give this enough attention for it to, grow back, and the players respond to that attention with excitement, then Wizards will know, oh, they're excited about Pioneer, and then it can actually grow back to being this awesome format that it once was.
I agree. My hot take is that because although Modern is a great format, I love Modern, it's as expensive as Legacy is now. So going back in time when I got into Magic and a Modern deck was kind of affordable, Legacy was at a price and you could start playing Standard, and then you gradually learned that Standard eventually cost more than Modern because you had to buy more new decks, you get into Modern. Right now, Modern is almost a rotating format and it's super expensive. So I feel like new players are viewing it like Legacy, and if they come in, they're more likely to turn towards Pioneer. So I think as a new player coming in and wanting to play something else than arena formats, these 4 Precons are the best intro to this.
Yeah, that's a little spoiler. I think these Precons are the exact kind of thing that Wizards needs to do to get attention towards Pioneer, to try it out once more, because it kind of got shut down the last time.
Yeah. So before we get into all 4 decks, we're just going to explain the format that we're doing. First of all, we're going to take deck by deck. We're going to talk about how hard it is to upgrade. Once you have the box at home, instead of just having a Precon, how hard is it to make it into a tournament deck that you can bring to more than an FNM? After that, we're going to discuss how competitive the deck straight out of the box. Before you upgrade it, can you go and win an FNM with this? How good is it against your friends at a table? How viable it is? Are you going to be looking silly, or are you going to be able to win some decent matches? After, how new player friendly it is. If you're not used to Magic, if you're not someone from Modern Legacy coming into Pioneer, if you're someone who is buying this as your first ever delve into Magic or into non-standard, non-arena Magic, how easy it is to understand. And then, how much value do you get out of the actual physical products? So, would you like to first of all talk about Mono Red?
For sure. Mono Red is the starting point in every format. If you look into Legacy, you're not looking at the 2,000 euro decks, you're looking at Burn, because that's cheap.
Yeah.
At least that's what I did back in the day. Same for Modern, Burn is kind of cheap there. So
because of the lands, usually. You just register a bunch of mountains.
Yeah, usually you do. That actually has kind of changed, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, let's start with Mono Red.
Okay. So once you have the deck, just bringing it to an FNM and then wanting to take it further, how much would you have to invest in this specific box to be able to make it a tournament deck, like a tier deck?
Yeah, you would probably have to spend another 110 euro on it. If you fiddle around a bit with the, you can sell some of the cards in the deck, probably around 100 euro. If you're clever, 100 euro.
All right, and what should people get first if they want to upgrade the deck?
The most important card that's missing from the deck is most likely Eidolon of the Great Revel. That's the 2-mana enchantment creature, you know.
And it's a costly one, yeah.
It's a costly one. And the second upgrade after that is probably adding white to the deck, because adding white not only gives you access to one of the most efficient burn spells in Boros Charm, really good burn spell from way back in the day, Return to Ravnica, or
that's what brought burn from the mono mountain list to finally playing white.
The Sacred Foundry deck, where you need Sacred Foundries, and ooh, that's the next expensive card you would need to add into your mono red deck. Also, white gives you the important upgrade of adding Lurrus to your sideboard.
So you can't even run away from Lurrus by going into Pioneer. It follows you in every format.
And that's also what really keeps you from running a budget mana base, because you gotta hit that double white for Lurrus.
Okay, so it costs some money if you want to upgrade it, but bringing it out of the box, just with the money you spent on it, how good is this deck if you bring it to an FNM or playing around your tabletop?
I mean, the basic list will get you some wins. Like, mono red will get you some wins here and there, but it really isn't streamlined to the point where it's really on the same level as the tiered out deck list. So I will say it will get you some wins. You can take this to an FNM and you will learn the basics of Pioneer. It's a good base if you want to take it to an FNM to learn about other Pioneer decks by playing against them, for example.
So in that case, would you recommend it to a new player?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
100%.
All right. Finally, how much value do you get out of the box compared to how much you're spending on the deck?
Yeah, just talking about finances, numbers, hard money. It's currently you spend 44 euros on the box and you get like 55 euros worth of cards out there.
So it's the cheapest of all the precons, but also not the one that gives you the most value.
Exactly. I don't know. Maybe you can get some extra value out of the box itself.
Yeah, the physical cardboard. I doubt that, but there's a Chandra in the deck, right?
There is a Chandra, and you don't need that Chandra for the actual deck, and that's what I referred to earlier as being smart, because you can probably trade that Chandra somewhere, maybe sell it on Cardmarket, and then buy other cards for it, which will save you a bit on upgrading all the other cards.
Yeah, for at least like a Shockland or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So moving on. We already played this matchup, so that's why I'm going to ask you about Lotus Field next.
Yeah, if you guys want to watch that match, amongst others, just tune in. I'll put the card up here in the video. You'll see it somewhere. You can click. We did try out all the precons. We've also already played the other two precons against each other. They will be coming out next Thursday. If this is post that, you can also find the link here. But until that, you'll just have to guess which one won.
So let's talk about the Lotus Field deck list, because it is the only combo deck among these 4 deck lists, and it's the first really pre-constructed combo deck we've ever seen, right?
Yeah, it's super weird. Wizards banned all the combo decks in one go by crippling them by taking out a card of each of them, being like, no, this is not a combo format. And in the 4 precon decks for new players, they printed a combo deck, and not only that, it's not an easy deck to play, and precons are for beginner players.
So usually combo decks are like super reliant on specific cards, and that's why it's weird to see a pre-constructed combo deck, right? Because Wizards could usually not fit all these expensive cards, specific expensive cards into the deck list. That being said, how much is there left to do on the precon?
Actually, that's what's wild. In this deck, the main deck, outside of the lands, is as is, card for card, between what you get in the box and what's on MTG Goldfish, the list there, card for card, the same deck. There's nothing to change. Unless you want to go to the lands, you can add 4 Botanical Sanctum and 1 Blast Zone, which will leave you out for about 25 euro. But the rest of the main deck is exactly the same. You have the constructed deck in hand.
So like to get 100% out of the deck, you only need to upgrade the mana base.
Only the mana base, and if you want to do the lands, you could replace the Second Sons by adding a Jace, Will or Mysteries, which just wins on the spot if you draw enough cards. You draw those cards by playing Niv-Mizzet Perron, which you'd add 2 of. And you'd also, some people add 9 lives as like a way to slow down and just tutor out of the board to win. But you're seeing, all in all, after your investment in the physical cardboard, you buy sleeves on Cardmarket, you buy a playmat, and then it's 35 euro. That's it. You have the list that you find online.
So 35 euros total, like to upgrade sideboard and main deck, that's very reasonable, seeing that we're coming in buying a pre-constructed deck. Like, go back 10 years and tell someone, yeah, buy this pre-constructed deck and you'll be almost good to no. That just didn't happen
You
back in the day.
have one of the chase rare and all the uncommons they could fit from the most recent set. They weren't very good.
Yeah. So, but even without those upgrades, how good is it? I show up to FNM, I grab the deck, the deck box, and without even sleeving it up, I just play.
So the tier deck, because it's basically the same thing, right? The tier deck is 1.5% of the metagame, so it doesn't count as a tier 1 deck, it's a tier 3 deck, whereas the mono red deck is itself tier 1, it's one of the most played decks, it's 7.1% after the upgrades. Now, for new players, this is we've got the opposites. This is the most difficult deck to play. Mono red, turn creature sideways, doesn't matter. You could be playing cards at random from your hand, you have a win percentage. This one you saw last time is actually super difficult, and you're not only playing the cards in your deck, you have to tutor up the right cards in your sideboard in the right order and count the probability of cards you're playing. So if you have never played Pioneer or this deck before, or you're new to Magic, do not buy this Precon. I repeat, you will look like a fool.
I mean, yeah, it's a very specific deck and it requires very specific playstyle. I mean, you can go back and look at me playing the deck. You see
and
how
you're
many.
a Pro Tour player, and you are still like, what are these cards?
Yeah, and you even cut out all the thinking of me in that video.
Yeah, don't tell them.
Anyways, yeah, so.
But if you're buying it for value, the deck is actually sold on Cardmarket for 47 euro, but it gives you 75 euro value.
Nice.
So already just buying it and reselling it, you're making profit off of it. And then it comes with one card, Omniscience, which is 13 euro. So if you're clever, you just buy this deck, you sell the Omniscience, use the 13 euro to buy most of the rest of the deck. You have a tier 1 deck for the 45 euro, 47 euro you find on our website, or just start selling them again and again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's never infinite, that's never how it completely works, but right now you can actually turn a profit on the individual cards.
Summing up, this is like a great deal looking at it from like how much of a deck you get, but then the deck itself is not great in competitiveness, and then also very hard to play for newer players.
So if you want to win FNMs, don't buy this one. But if you like weird combo decks and you want to save money, this is definitely.
Yeah, I see those exact two reasons. Like, you want to have almost a complete deck and you like weird combo decks.
Yeah.
In that case, like.
Because you'd be buying that deck anyways, might as well shell out the cheap version of it that is so easy to upgrade.
Nice.
All right, now, while we're here, would you like to speak about Orzhov Auras, also known as Pants?
Pants. Orzhov Pants.
Orzhov Pants.
Kind of a deck that took off just for a very small moment in time in Pioneer,
And it was like really tier 1 for a while.
Yeah, it was there and then it was gone. But yeah, let's talk more about that deck, because out of the box, you still need to put in a bunch of work to make it work, to make it the complete deck.
How so?
This is like the opposite of the Lotus Field combo deck. You gotta put in, I'll just tell you the raw numbers, 105 euros to make it a whole deck.
All right, that's still not that bad. This Pioneer, this is good.
I mean, yes, we are talking about a competitive tournament deck list.
What are you adding?
You're adding Thoughtseizes to the sideboard, which is like
those are
the
15
most
a pop.
important thing, because it's the piece of interaction that you want to play in Pioneer. Back in the day, mono black aggro was basically powered by Thoughtseize because it's just such a strong piece of interaction.
Actually, it became a Thoughtseize format. Almost all the decks were playing at least a version of black because they wanted to play Thoughtseize.
Yeah, and then for the main deck, you're still missing Pathways and Shocklands. So both of those need to be added to have a consistent mana base, because otherwise you're just not playing a fully powered deck.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the deck itself is on power, you just need mana smoothing and sideboard options. So originally, normally for a new player, you'd suggest they start with the sideboard or the lands.
Probably the sideboard, if I would have to guess, because the mana base is fine, but then again, don't wait too long on the mana base. Those are percentage points in game that you will not realize you're losing. You will lose games because of your mana base, but you will not, like, your initial thought won't be, oh, I lost that game because my mana base was bad. Your initial thought would be like, oh, I kind of got color screwed or something there.
Yeah.
So you don't even
just
realize.
feel miserable.
Don't wait too long on your lands.
But if you just buy it, say you don't add the lands, you don't add the Thoughtseizes, how good is this at an FNM?
I would honestly say not great, but it depends heavily on your metagame. If your opponents do not show up with the right pieces of interaction, a card like SRAM senior edificer can just run away with the game.
Yeah.
That being said, if you sit down and your opponent has just purchased the mono red preconstructed deck, what are you gonna do? Like, he's just gonna shock your SRAM, or not necessarily shock, but throw any burn spell at your SRAM, and your whole strategy kind of collapses. So very metagame dependent, but overall I would say not very good out of the box.
And would you recommend it to new players who are just playing with the precons at home with their friends?
If you're interested in, like, if the play style is appealing to you, of suiting up one creature and kind of like thinking about how your opponent might interact with you and trying to, you know, outsmart them a bit. If you want to play something a bit more sophisticated than mono red, go for it. This is a cool deck to play. This is just, if you would just want to jam some games, yes, absolutely.
All right. But if you're looking to make value, how much is this out of the box? How much do you get?
If you're purely looking for value, you're still better off with the Lotus Field combo deck, because this one only gives you about 68 euros worth of cards, like if you want to sell every single card out of the box. For currently it's going for like 55 euros the box itself. So you get a profit of 13 euros, a profit if you want to put in the work, etc., etc. Purely for the money, go for the Lotus Field combo deck.
All right.
Last but not least, Carl, there's one more deck. It's
Yes.
Azorius Spirits. Tell us about that one.
Well, we just played it, Jamin and I. Not going to tell you the outcome yet. And it feels really good as a deck. It's a tier 1 deck in the format. If you go on the metagame analysis websites, it's like 7.5% of the meta. It's a tier 1 deck. It's one of the top 3 decks in the format. And it's all about playing a bunch of, it's the only tribal deck as well. I think Wizards did it really well where they put a combo deck, a aggro deck, a tribal deck, and then like an enchantment-based Boggles deck, which is another
Kind of a
favorite.
synergy.
Yeah, they have like all the fun ones, and this is the tribal deck of the Precon selection. You play creatures that pump each other out, attack, and then it's got like a aggro tempo strategy where you get to counter your opponent's spells while you're beating them down with unblockable because they're flying creatures. It's a really, really fun deck.
Kind of like a get ahead, stay ahead.
Yeah. You get under
deck.
your opponent and try to shut the door fast. If you don't do that, they can. What they're doing late game is probably more powerful than what you can do. But the point is, it's a aggro control deck.
Yeah.
So
All right. So how much do you need to pay to get ahead? Like.
to get ahead. Well, this one actually costs, because it's a tier 1 deck. It costs tier 1 money to upgrade it to what you see on the deck list pages. First of all, it only comes with 2 Mausoleum Wanderer. So you're going to want to add 2 Mausoleum Wanderer. That's already money. Then it doesn't play the Skyclave Apparition. If you're talking about interaction, Skyclave Apparition is a spirit.
It's the prime piece of interaction.
The spirit. So that's already going to set you up a little. The box also only comes with 2 spell callers. It's like they're teasing you on, like, this is why it's good. This is why you want to add 2 of them. You're also going to want to add because you're going to shift the colors. It's not just blue-white. The actual deck is green because it plays Collected Company, which in itself is going to add a bunch of green mana to your cost, and is going to cost you quite a bit of money.
So if I counted correctly, that's already like 12 rares you need to buy that are all semi-expensive.
Cheapest first on Cardmarket. I did a bit of research. Cheapest first if you use a shopping wizard and go even like give me destroyed cards.
Yeah.
It's about 100 euro. It's usually about 180 euro worth plus 100 euro worth of lands. So we're looking at about 200 floor to 280-ish euro.
That's
just to upgrade the deck after you bought it.
To upgrade the deck.
Yeah,
Like that's
but
a serious stack.
It's a deck that you can bring to a tournament afterwards, and if you upgraded the deck fully, you can actually win. This deck wins a lot of tournaments. It's a very powerful deck.
All right, so once I spend like another 6 times of what I spent on the deck, then I can bring it to a tournament. But what if I only want to spend the cost of the deck once, which is just the box, take it out, don't even sleeve it, riffle shuffle the cards as hard as I can. Can I win games with that?
So if you just bring the deck out there and don't invest the money into making it the tier 1 deck, the problem is this deck kind of fails. It doesn't have the Collected Companies, which you rely on for the actual card advantage and the snowballing in the deck, and you only have one of all of the good like synergistic cards, like the Mausoleum Wanderers, the Spell Callers. You only have 2 of them in the box. So all your powerful cards are reduced compared to the other ones where you get 4 of each of them, and you don't have the good snowballing effect. So I think it's one of the worst precons if you're just playing with the cards per card.
Yeah. So if you're looking to take down the next Grand Prix in Pioneer or something, no, I have no idea if that ever happens.
Anytime soon.
you probably don't want to buy this one off the vendor and just shuffle it up, unless you have 300 euro in spare cash lying around.
Exactly. But if you're a new player and you're just looking to pick up a Precon deck, this one is not as good, but it's a lot of fun. This is controversial, but Spirits is one of the the fakest you feel smart decks. Like it's a snowbally deck. So it's really easy to play, but it makes you feel really clever because although you're just tapping out for your mana curve spells, you're playing them on your opponent's turn, you're tapping down a creature, you're leaving up a counter magic. So although your decisions are basically made for you, like a cat could play this deck by pointing at the cards most of the time, it still makes you feel like you're playing on your opponent's turn. They're playing a card, you're like, stop! Spellcaller! Ha! Attack with the Spellcaller after pumping it. Oh, I played around. Like it makes you feel clever. So if you're a new player, but you want to get into aggro control, this deck is actually, I'd recommend it. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Also, it's just a different playstyle than the other decks, right? Like kind of unique in that way. All right. Stepping out of the new player shoes, I'm not a new player anymore, Carl.
No, you're not. You played a Pro Tour.
If I want to play this deck and I don't have any Pioneer cards, how much value do I get out of the box? Like, how much more do I need to invest? How much profit can I make out of the box?
So this is one of the better ones as well, especially if you're looking to play it, because we sell it online at Cardmarket for about 47 euros, the 7-day average right now. But you can then use it for 75 euro worth of cards. So you do have a good margin there. Also, you can just turn around and sell the Brazen Borrower because no one is playing with Brazen Borrower in that deck. It's not a spirit. It's like Eminem with the other rappers. Like it doesn't kind of fit in. It's just this 3/1 fairy that Wizards gave you as a like shiny card.
So basically, what this sounds like is you're buying a Spirits pre-constructed deck, and then as a free bonus, have a Brazen Borrower, do what you want with it, and if you're only looking to build a Spirits deck, you're gonna take that Brazen Borrower, throw it over the corner.
Flip it around.
Yeah, flip it around.
But one of the things about this deck is I recommend it for people who do actually want the deck, because like a neat hack you can do is some of the chase rares, they have 2-ofs. So you can buy the Precon twice. You get 4 Spellcallers, 4 Mausolean Wonders, 2 Brazen Borrowers to sell away, and then you can use that to build towards your green mana base that you'll then use with collected companies.
Yeah, that green mana base, a hefty price point. But yeah, definitely like getting towards a tier deck, this will, provide you a solid boost for deciding to get into Spirits, I think. Like much cheaper than buying all the cards yourself.
But finally, this is my favorite part. Just before we let you guys go, those were the 4 decks. But let's do a small rock, paper, scissors, lizard of if you're 4 people at a kitchen table, if you and I have 2 more friends, I don't know where you find them, and we just want to buy these Precons and bash them against each other, which ones would beat which? Which ones are probably your best bet?
All right, let's go through them quickly. We already played Spirits versus Orzhov Auras. We also played a while ago, Burn versus the combo matchup.
And Burn it was not looking good for the combo deck.
Not at all.
Yeah, I know.
So Burn heavily favored there probably.
But the thing is, Burn is also pretty good against Orzhov.
Yeah, Burn, pointing burn spells at Orzhov's aura targets is kind of, that's their kind of house of cards just falls together there. You really have to get lucky to win there. So Burn, looking like it's on the upper side of the rock paper scissors lizard matchup.
Exactly, and although the Spirits deck doesn't feel too powerful against the Orzhov Auras deck, it feels really powerful against a combo deck because you get to just kind of nab their spell and turn sideways. You've got the clock and you've got a lot of counter spells.
You've got a clock and you've got interaction. Those are the 2 pieces you need against combo.
And it feels pretty 50-50 against mono red.
Yeah, that actually seems like the most intricate matchup. Like you get creature on creature combat, you get burn spells and creature kind of things going on, and you've got counter spells going on. Very dynamic, very cool.
If you're just 2 people at home and you want to buy 2 of them, if you're just the Jamin Carl of house magic and on your kitchen table, you want to just play one of the decks against the other, I heavily recommend getting Spirits against mono red, because you'll get like the magic as Richard Garfield intended. You'll get the real kind of, I burn your spell, counter spell, attack, oh I block, okay I'm attacking with more creatures. It's more real magic instead of
just real magic,
someone trying to figure out which cards are in their sideboard to get out, and
Talking about people figuring out the cards in their sideboard, Lotus Field combo deck, not great in this like 4-deck matchup because it loses to both Spirits because that's aggro and mono red because that's aggro. And then I think against the black-white enchanting deck, you kind of have a 50-50 matchup where either the black-white deck gets a very quick start with like ethereal armor into everything that all that clears, you get to out aggro the combo deck, or the combo deck gets to do the combo thing.
Yeah. But that's basically our idea of the Precon decks. We think they're really good.
They are.
Yeah, I recommend buying them. We're gonna be probably playing some Pioneer in the near future. Don't forget, if you want to watch any of the gameplay of those decks, we'll have the links in the description below. They'll also show up here. And if you want to support the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe and support us because we really need your help.
Yeah, and I mean that's what we do here, right? We kind of grow the channel, produce good content, but for now we'll probably see you around online on the other videos.
And in possible future tournaments, playing Pioneer. Anyways, see you guys next week when we release a paper gameplay video.